Hi, ladies. There we go. Fixing the volume here. All right, welcome. This is our first Facebook Live of 2025, and I'm very excited because there's new members in this community, but also I would like to share with all you ladies what you can expect moving forward, what this community is, and yeah, how changes are happening. So, first and foremost, I want to say Happy New Year, Happy 2025. And this is a very, very special time, more than ever, because the planets are aligning, right? The planets are aligned currently as I speak these words. And for a lot of us in here, we're excited because we're very in tune with our spirituality and just being women, right? Our intuition is heightened. And it's been said before that our intuition is even more heightened when it's our time of the moon. And I love that because, before I used to dread having my menstruation, and I was like, I'm gonna feel tired, I'm gonna feel all these things. And now I'm so grateful. I'm grateful because that means that I can have children. I'm grateful because that helps me become even more in tune with my body. And I'm just grateful because it means that I am a part of nature and I continue to be a part of nature. And so I begin this conversation with the following because that's what our conversations moving forward will be about. And I encourage you to join these conversations, to really just comment what it is that you're experiencing, what your thoughts are, because as women collectively, the more knowledge and the more wisdom we share amongst each other, the more that we can create the impact for other women, for our sisters, for our daughters, for the next generation. And that's really the legacy that we're leaving as women, right? It's not only the financial wealth or the wealth we have in our health, in our bodies, in our homes, but it's also what is it that we're creating as a legacy? What are we leaving behind? And one thing that I've considered over the years, personally myself, is what is it that I know and how can I transfer that information to an individual to understand it, to become knowledge, and for it really to become embodied in wisdom when the person takes it and they encompass it into the identity of who they are. And so that's what we're going to go over today, ladies, where I'm just going to share a little bit of the gospel on how to become the woman that makes everything you want happen for yourself. How do we become her? And so it's really, really important, first and foremost, to understand, well, how does this work, right? Like, how does all this work that it is that I'm wanting to experience, that I'm wanting to, some people call it manifestation, right? Manifesting into my life, or just calling in. How is it that I can get this to happen, to appear? Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a baby, whether it's a business opportunity, a new friendship, or just really a new way of life. You're wanting to change, you're wanting something to shift for you. Ultimately, that is what we're looking for, and that's what we're wanting. And so we have to ask ourselves the following, right? How do we make that happen? And so get comfortable, get yourself a blanket, get yourself some tea, something to drink, while I just kind of share with you all what it is that we're going to need specifically to make this happen for ourselves. So let me go ahead and move this here a bit for us. Okay. As I share this, I want you to take notes, or take just, mental note of what it is that I'm sharing, because it's a concept that you'll need to take, you'll need to soak it in, and you'll need to work on it and embody it at every single moment that you are challenged, or you are having something that's really just pressing up against the identity of who you are. So I'll start with the following. There is a code, a formula, a solution, whatever it is you want to call it, and it's the following. It's be, do, have. Be, do, have. What that means is, if you want to love, you be love. You be love. You are love, you take the action on it, and then you have love. The erroneous idea, the mistake that a lot of women make, is the opposite. They think that they will have it, then they will experience it, and then they'll be it. But that's not the case. The case is the opposite. And I start with the following because it's really an identity. It's an identity of what it is that you are desiring to experience that you embody and you embrace and you share and exemplify with leadership, that you get to experience what it is that you're looking to have, to experience, to live, to be, and to feel. And here's what I mean by it. When we want something so bad in our life, I don't think that's the challenge, really. That's what a lot of people think, like, oh, well, I want this and I'm not sure really how to get it. Well, here's my thoughts on that. I don't really think that's the challenge. For me, I believe that the challenge is sustaining it, maintaining it, having it be consistent. And so then that poses the next question, right? So the next question for us is, well, how do I sustain something that I really, really want? And that the answer is what I mentioned earlier, you become it. And so let's take, for example, a relationship that we're really, really wanting to manifest a very loving, committed, healthy, communicative, honest relationship, right? It could be friendship, romantic, but for this case, it's romantic, okay? And you really, really want it. Well, according to what a lot of people understand, there's two things you need. You need to have the sense inside you and the feeling and the gratitude and just the thankfulness that you are deserving of it and that it's already being experienced. And a lot of people get stuck in this moment and say, like, well, how can I do that if I've never experienced that? Well, the idea is that we've already experienced it with ourselves, with us being compassionate with ourselves, for us being forgiving with ourselves, and all the things that we're desiring from another person. Because if we're wanting a relationship and it's healthy in all its form, it's because it's going to complement us, not supplement us. It's not going to drag us, and it's not going to have us compromise authentically who we are as women, as the loving beings that we are. And so we have to ask ourselves, well, if the relationship is coming from a healthy place, what does that look like? Well, it starts with ourselves. It starts with us treating ourselves well, understanding our worth. Our level of self-esteem is reflected in all that we do, all that we say, and really all that it is that we create. And as I say that, it's kind of tough, because unless we have the consciousness, the awareness, or the knowledge, right, of what it is that is still something unintegrated, something unhealed inside us, something that we're still working towards, we won't know. And that's the beauty of it. That's where we get relationships and other people really to tell us where we still have area of growth as an opportunity. And we might get triggered by it and say, oh my gosh, the audacity, or how dare they tell me that I, still have this to work on. But the truth is, we all have still things to work on. But the grace and the beauty about it is how we go about it, how we actually choose to do the work, how we choose to do the inner shifts that we're having. And that's how we get to see those shifts on the outside, because it starts in here. So an example of that is wanting a relationship with a beloved, right, with someone, but understanding that whatever qualities or experiences we're wanting with that individual, we must first give to ourselves and understand where it's coming from. That it's coming from a place of desire and benefiting. It's benevolent for everyone. It's good for everyone. It benefits the person, right, that's in relationship with you. It benefits you. It benefits your clients, your children, your community, everyone. And it's so, so beautiful, because when we become the individual, when we become the identity, really, of the woman that understands, it starts with me. It starts within me. It's going to end with me. And I only get to be a better person so that I can help everyone else have a better experience, not become a better person. That's their responsibility, right? And it's hard. It's so hard, because if and when you're a woman that's very loving and very giving, we have to ask ourselves, well, how much do I give at the same time as I'm receiving, right? And if I'm receiving, how do I know if this is in the best benefit of myself or of others? These are all higher level questions, right, that a lot of women ask themselves, and it comes up in the everyday. It comes up at work, comes up in relationships, it comes in connections. And so when we are wanting a beloved, we're coming from two places, okay? It's neither or. It's either you're in this bucket or you're in this bucket. It's nothing in between. So if you're coming from a place of fear, you're going to probably be coming from a place of not enoughness, of I am unworthy, of I am unlovable, of all the uns, okay? Like all the un parts. Unworthy, unloving, undeserving, all the things. And when we come from this place, we're going to attract a partner, a beloved, that is also coming from the same place of them feeling unworthy, unlovable, right? Unable to give a partner a beautiful experience, or they're a taker. They are a taker, and the beauty is they are a lesson for us. They are a lesson in understanding, what do I still need to heal inside myself? And so when we become the woman that makes everything that we want happen for ourselves, the first thing is taking self-responsibility for what part we play in this TV show we call our life. And do we want it to be a thriller? Do we want it to be an inspirational video? Or do we want it to be the next novela and the next drama and the next and the next and the next episode, right? Where it's the same dude, different face, same lady, different face, right? Well, whoever it is that your beloved is, it's so important to understand you are the leading role in your life, in your story, in your movie. To have that role, you must have self-accountability. You must have self-accountability. Because if you don't, if you don't have self-accountability, oh my goodness, you're going to give away your power. And when you give away your power as a woman, it is not a good look, girl. It is not a good look. It looks like you blame everyone. It looks like you don't take any responsibility for how do we get here. It looks like you saying that everybody else, thing, and place, and environment is the problem. And sometimes it's definitely equal. It's definitely you and them, right? It's lack of integrity and authenticity and alignment on everybody's side. That absolutely happens, yes. However, if we are able to take responsibility for ourselves and pull up into the main character energy in our life, we have a different experience. You win or you learn. You win or you learn. It's either one, okay? Let me move this out of the way here. Okay, so you win or you learn. If you learn, you get to grow if you embody the lesson, because then it becomes wisdom. Okay, that's part one. However, if you want to grow, you're also going to learn. When you learn and you embody that, you will grow so much. Oof. It sends chills through me, because if you see things over and over and over like a victim, and you see it as, well, this happened to me, and this happened to me, and this happened to me, and this person did this, and this to me, and I want them to apologize, and all the things. We're not in our main character energy. We're in our princess energy. And it's so hard to understand, because a lot of people will ask me like, well, that's invalidation of my feelings. Absolutely not. No. There is a difference, an absolute difference, and here it is. When you are in queen energy, that's main character energy, right? Nobody is interested in the princess if the queen is present, if she's in the house. So now, if you have main character energy, queen energy, and you understand that when you have queen energy, there's no room for both. You can't have princess and queen at the same time. This is not a thing, absolutely not. This is a no, okay? So how does the queen show up? The queen takes responsibility for her life, for her circumstance, and for how things are in regards to their part, not other people's part. I want to be clear about that. That doesn't mean enabling, that doesn't mean turning the cheek on what's not okay. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you wake up to the fact that you fully understand who it is that you are playing a part with, right, in a shared scene, in a shared drama maybe sometimes, or a shared experience. And what role are you playing there? Meaning, are you the supporter? Are you just the bystander, right? Being like, okay, girl, I'm gonna watch you from over here, right? Slash their tires, I'm good, no thank you, right? You're just watching from the side. But when you take main character queen energy, you take a seat with yourself and you sit with yourself. You hold space for yourself with all the love and compassion that you are capable of in that moment, okay? And you 100% have the most realist talk with yourself that you can. And I always say at the end that you can, because here's the thing. If you do it with any less compassion and understanding that you're going to meet yourself at the depth that you've worked on with yourself, if you understand that, you're gonna be golden. You're only gonna go up from there. But if you're meeting yourself with judgment, resentment, you're not forgiving yourself, all the things, okay, all the mud, all the wounds, all the muddy parts we have inside ourselves still, it's not going to work. It's just going to make things worse because you're going to be at war with yourself. And that's princess energy. Princess energy is when you are still at war with yourself, or you don't want to, wake up and smell the roses that you're part of the challenges you're having. That is princess energy, okay? Because I am speaking to queens. I am speaking to the queen inside you that literally is hearing this and saying, girl, yes. Yes, it's literally an amen moment where it's like, damn, my most highest self, my queen gets this. She gets it. And I'm like, she gets it. And here we are, because sometimes we want to be petty. Sometimes we want to be in our princess energy, and sometimes we're just like, no, I won't. And we're just gonna sit there on our horse. And I think we're human. I think sometimes our princess is gonna come out, and it's fun, but not for long. Absolutely not for long. I think that it's youthful and it's playful and it's fun. But when you want real shifts in your life, when you want real things to create change and shifts in your world, because it first starts from the shift in here, and then the world starts to mirror that. Because if you are at war with yourself between queen and princess energy, you're not going to have a good outcome. You're 100% going to have an experience where you're just like, oof, this one hurts. This one's a lesson. There's a divorce. There's a breakup. There's a loss of a child. There's you get fired. There's you have a tiffle and you don't feel seen, heard, or understood by friends, or any type of life shift or crises that occurs. That's what's going to keep on teaching you. And that's the hard part, right? Because as queens, we've earned that place. We've earned that throne. You have earned your stripes, ladies. You have earned the right to say, I lead my life and I fully understand that I am here because this is what I have chosen. That right there is the money maker. That right there is the shifter that creates legacy. It creates impact and income. Let me rock to you let me rap to you real quick on how this works. It's beautiful. Because the moment you realize the following, everything changes for you. You are the only person that can make the change inside and let yourself know that you are worthy, that you are lovable, that you are beautiful, that you are all that you are initially created for. God made no mistake. That's just the truth. God made no mistake. But it's so hard because we're human and we're hard on ourselves, and we're like, well, I made a mistake here and I made a mistake there. And yes, but it's also meeting yourself with so much grace, compassion, and love that's authentic and honest for yourself that you overflow and you start to give it to other people. You're coming from a place of love, not a place of fear. And so when we're looking for a beloved, right, going back to that, we attract a beloved from two places. We attract them either from a place of fear or a place of love. And we attract what we are. We don't get what we want, we get what we are. And so that beloved is going to come into our life, and they're either going to teach us lessons or blessings, or we get a combination of both. Depends how you want to, how you want to lead your life and how you want to play that role as you in your movie called life. And when they come in to teach us lessons, it's an open invitation. It's so hard, right? Because I've been through it. And it's so hard in the moment to be like, wait a minute, what do you mean I should be thankful for this? This is so hurtful. I'm in so much pain, emotionally, spiritually, physically, sexually, whatever pain it is that you're experiencing. It's a gift. Pain is a gift. It's an open invitation for us to either transmute, convert, change that pain into growth, love, compassion, empathy, insert here, right? Or we just repeat the same thing over and over and over again with beloveds, loves, clients, with family members, with friends, community members, with everyone in our life that teaches us and adds something to the story, to the storyline, right? Because we have to ask ourselves, well, if this keeps repeating, why does this keep happening, right? There's been so many times in my life where I literally just sat down just like this, in a chair, and I'll talk to myself, and I literally will have like a whole board meeting. I'll have a whole board meeting with myself, and I'll line all parts of me up, right? It's the most funniest thing. When I was a little girl, there's a photo of it actually on Pinterest, if y'all want to connect with me on Pinterest. It's Zeahlot, just at Pinterest. Just type in my name and you'll find it. Anyways, so it's in the childhood photos that I have on there. And there's this picture of me when I was a little girl, and I would line up all my dolls in a row just to talk to each and every one of them like a board meeting. So now as a grown woman, right, I have a board meeting with myself, and so I'll line up all parts of me, right? I'll line up the piece of me that's empowered, a leader, vocal, advocate, and then there's I have to acknowledge the shadow parts of me, the unintegrated parts, the piece of me that still wants to people please. So I'll give her a seat, right? The people pleaser, and they all get a spot, right? Or the one that just wants love for this reason, or acknowledgement, or you name it, right? Like all parts. To me, there's absolutely nothing wrong with your light and your dark. There's absolutely nothing wrong with your shadow and your light, because one gives to the other. You can't have one without the other. I love Carl Jung, and he says, who am I to be if not a shadow with my light, right? Like I have to create my dark, 100%. We are both light and dark. And so I'll line up all pieces of me, right? Like the dark, the light, and I'm like, whoa, what role is the people pleaser, insert here shadow, this, and this piece playing in this scenario right now with this person? Why isn't that changing? And then I have to ask myself, well, what purpose does that piece of me still serve unintegrated? That puts me into a role of not taking responsibility for myself. That's one. Two, I get to blame somebody else, and that's super fun and petty and princess. I don't have to have the personal internal responsibility of being a queen and showing up. We're responsible for my own life, right? Or this lets me think that I'm unlovable, and so I don't have to show up in my full light and have higher standards for my experiences. And then it hits me in that moment, and I'm like, I understand why this unintegrated, scared shadow piece of me is still serving a purpose. I got it. It allows me to stay safe, because I don't have to show up in my full light with my full capacity, my full advocacy, my full voice, my authentic self. It's so hard. It's so hard in the moment, ladies, to understand this, but once you do, it's a game changer. It's such a game changer when you understand this. And this is why I'm sharing this today, because this is how we become the woman that makes everything you want happen for you. This is literally how it happens. And a lot of times, it gets, I guess I want to use the word, you have to be mindful of this. Some people would call it loneliness, and other people would experience it as solitude. It's so delicious. Regardless of what season you're in right now of your life, whether you're in the girl, this is lonely, like I'm clearing out friends, I'm clearing out loved ones, I'm clearing out all the people I've been dating or kind of situationship, like it's just leaving. When people are being removed from your life, whether by your choice or not, or just circumstance, you're making space, you're making room to call in the new. But the question is, do you want to give that space and that seat at the table to the same situation and the same lesson, or will you make that shift inside you to have that new experience, that new integration inside you on that new, for you to have that experience you're actually wanting? Well, of course, most people would say, yeah, I 100% want to have that experience. Me, yes, Z, that is me. Well, the next question that comes up is probably the second hardest question I've ever experienced in my life when you say yes to something. Well, the second question is, are you willing to experience the things you don't want to experience in order to get what it is that you want to experience? I'll give you an example. Most people would love to be multimillionaires, multi-billionaires, a person of wealth and impact and influence. But are they willing to go through the painful growth or painful moments that it takes to become that person, to sustain and hold that experience, right? Well, those people, they need to understand how to sustain that energy, how to sustain themselves with grace and compassion and empathy and understanding and integrity and all those things by continuing to raise their standards so that they can hold the experience they're wanting. When we're not integrated and we're not in integrity with what we say we want, with who we say we are and what we say we're going to do, and we don't do it, we're not being of integrity or authenticity. It's not authentic because it's said, but it's not done. The do-say ratio, the math ain't math and it's not even. And when people experience us in this way, it speaks volumes and it says, well, the actions speak louder than words. Yes, 100%. In this situation, the actions speak louder than words. And so we have to ask ourselves, are we willing to experience the uncomfortable, the painful, the hurtful, the hard-earned lessons as women for us to experience what it is that we desire and are grateful for? When we have desire, when we have gratitude in combination, we're able to call in what it is that we're wanting a lot quicker. And I will always remind you, ladies, no matter what, you can ask for whatever it is that you desire. That is never ever the challenge or the case. You can always ask for what you want. God never says no. God never says no. Here's where things get tricky. God either says, not right now, I have something better for you, or hold tight, I'm going to give you some lessons so you become the person that can hold what it is that you're asking for. Hold tight. So here's a really funny example. You ask for patience, right? You're like, Lord, give me patience with this baby. Lord, give me patience with this team member. Give me patience with this person I just hired. I've been there. I've been there with so many of these. And so then Source, God, Universe says to us, your wish is my command. Here you go. I'm going to give you exactly what you want. That's never the issue. But it is with something that sprinkles growth on it. And it's, well, I gave you what you wanted, and now so you can keep it and have a great experience, and so you can create this experience, as an example to lead others that it's possible, you're going to need to sustain it. So you're going to need to grow into the person that is able to go through challenges and triggers and uncomfortable situations, so you still have patience. So you still have it. And so then that's when you have to ask yourself, truly, really, and utterly, do I want this? With intention, with consciousness, with understanding. And so then you have to ask yourself, is what I'm asking in the greatest good of everybody? The person or things or experiences that I'm calling in, does it also benefit that, them, or this for me to be a part of that story, for me to be a part of that movie scene? If the answer is yes, then it's benevolent. It's in the greatest good of everyone. And that's what the collective consciousness is about. So as we raise our collective consciousness, as we raise community up, we have to ask ourselves, well, by me doing my own part and becoming more aware of my unintegrated parts, my messy, my hurt, like how much hurt am I carrying and how can I carry less, right? I remember when my father passed, Megan Devine, amazing healer. I call her a healer because she's a mental health professional and definitely a healer. She's an expert in grief. Megan Devine, When my father passed, I bought her book. And I remember what a beautiful moment I felt, and it was so integrated and it was so beautifully comprised and just, oof, it was so felt inside me. So I'm at this plant shop bookstore combination, right? I love plants and I love books. So I walked in Long Beach, right? I walk in and then I see her book, and it was the answer to a question I kept having. And I kept asking God when my father died very early on, maybe like a month, 2 months after he passed, super fresh. And I kept asking God, like, how do I carry this, God? How do I carry my pain, my grief, my hurt, my family-ish, like all of the stuff that's up, it's bringing up dust, it's bringing up dirt, and it's hurtful. And I had the courage to look at it, right? Becoming the woman that needs to hold what it is that we're asking for, the knowledge, the wisdom, the experience, whatever it might be. And I kept asking God, like every single day, I was like, why, God? Why? Why did this happen? Why is this? Ooh, my favorite. At one point, I did have, why is this happening to me? I was in victim mode. And grief just clouded it even further, made it heavier and heavier and heavier. I kept asking, how do I carry this? And here's what I learned. There was so much wisdom in the pain. There was so much wisdom. What pain taught me, right? Instead of, it's just like the tears that taught me, the pain that taught me. And so I walk into the bookstore in Long Beach that's a plant and bookstore combo. And bam, there it is. On like the 10th day, I kept praying. I kept talking with God. I'm like, what's up, God? How do I carry this pain? How do I carry it? And there was Megan Devine's book, and it said, you don't carry it. The book was called How to Carry What Can't Be Fixed. And at the end of the book, it gives the answer. And it was, you don't carry it. You don't carry what can't be fixed and what's for you not to fix. And really what's not meant to be fixed is just meant to be an experience. It was game-changing. It was legit life-changing. It shifted something inside me. It shifted so much victimhood inside me that I was like, whoa. I felt for the longest time, especially being raised as the oldest, that it was my responsibility to help my family heal, that it was my responsibility to make sure that we were all emotionally okay, that I was the emotional first aid. I felt all these things, especially also being Latina and growing up in a family where the collective 100% over the individual. That's how I grew up. I grew up to where, family first, and if somebody's needs need to be met, those are met before your own. Right? The sacrificial, the martyr, I will make sure everybody is served at the table, everybody has hot, warm food before me. I saw this modeled in my family with the women. I saw this experience through my own life with partners. I saw this experience since I was a little girl. It was like I was trained into it. And observantly and diligently and also committed to doing the work, committed to God, I had to take a look at it and ask, does this still serve me? Is this still in my greatest good? Does this serve others and myself? No, because people pleasing is fear, it's not love. And it was such an awakening for me. It was such a beautiful, it was like a veil was taken off, the curtain moved, the whole thing. It was like, ta-da, surprise. This is something that you can unlearn, and it's a limiting belief. And I was just floored. I remember paying for the book. I was so excited, right? I had like one plant here, and I had my book here, and I was like, all right, let's go home. Let's go do this. So I went home right after the bookstore. I go home and I start to just delve into the book, and I just start crying because it was as if it was just waiting for me. And they say that the teacher appears when the student is ready. Oh, 100%. I was more than ready. More than readiness, I was committed. I already committed to doing the work. And so when I started to do even more inner work, things started to shift. So after that, any single time a challenge or something kept coming up in my life as a pattern, I had to ask myself, am I the one? Am I the chosen one? Am I the one that's already been designed to solve this, to work on this, to put my energy towards this? And if the answer was no, the lesson for me, the work was for me to say no to it and have discernment and have the understanding and the faith and the conviction inside me to say, no, thank you. That's not an experience I want to continue having. I ain't the one, not today, no, thank you. And no, thank you was the hardest thing for me to understand and conceptualize with my family. Once again, especially being a woman of color, being in a community that 100% values the always available, always willing to help, and it's a beautiful thing, but we have to do it with intention. We have to do it with integrity if we are the chosen one for that. And a lot of the women that I mentor and I lead, they ask me and they say, well, Z, I have to ask, how do I know? Like, how do I know if I'm the one to fix that or not? And that's a really good question. And the answer I always go to is that our body is far beyond wiser than what we give it credit for. Our body is so wise that it actually tells us. It moves us in a way that words are not needed. It's felt throughout the whole body holistically to where then it becomes words, then it becomes conviction, and it comes out of your mouth because you live with integrity. I share that because that's exactly the process that happens with me. Before I share anything, before it literally becomes embodied and just a part of me, I have to listen first. I have to sit with myself, get quiet, that board meeting, and be like, okay, what's going on here? I have to first understand it from the inside for it to be organized and made sense on the outside. So then when someone says, hey Z, would you like to be a part of this amazing project? And although it's really amazing, I come from a place of love and I say, thank you so much for thinking of me. I currently already have healthy commitments that I've given my word to that are going to help me move the mission along. There we go. And that was the most important part for me to understand. That when I'm in alignment and when I have integrity and I have clarity about what it is that I'm wanting in my life as a woman, as a creator, as a leader, it becomes so much more clear for other people as well. It's not a guessing game. They know who you are. You're coming in authentically with consistency. That's so important because you can be authentic, you can be your real self, and a part of your real self might be real confused. Like real confused to where you don't know which end is up and you don't know what direction you're going. So you're just like a broken compass that's just swinging from side to side to side and the other way around. And so I share this with all of you because when that is the case and when that is happening, we have to ask ourselves, have I given the time, the dedication, and the space, right, for me to come to my own conclusion and giving myself back my power and not giving it away to somebody else to make that decision that is not going to live it. The only person that's going to live the outcome of that decision and those actions is you. And so why not take responsibility for yourself to say, like, wait a minute, if I'm going to be responsible for the results of this decision, I probably need to be a part of the decision. And that also plays out in business because I've noticed that as well, that when you hire someone, when you assign someone on your team something, and even yourself, when you say, okay, I'm committed, I'm doing this, you need to have clarity about why you're doing it and why you're delegating and why you're creating or doing what you're doing, with what intention, with what purpose. Even this live, I did an intention setting before I did it where it's to welcome new members, to let them know what they can expect with lives, what they can expect from the community and other women, and really what's the message behind how do I become the woman that makes it happen. And that's the theme for this year. How do I become that woman? Well, it's the year of the snake, 2025. It's by shedding old layers of ourselves. It's old skin. It's not just the beauty regimen where you have your coffee, apricot scrub in the shower and we're making our silky smooth skin. It's not just that. It's also shedding parts of yourselves that no longer serve you. It's shedding parts of yourself that you know damn well they gotta go. You've just been turning the cheek because you know it's hard work, because you know you probably need to give him the boot, because you know you probably don't need to hang out with those friends anymore that aren't aligned and they're not trying to go to the same place you are. They're not understanding that your self-care is a part of your regimen, that they're just been running ragged and you're okay running ragged with your raggedy friends. Like that that doesn't work because you are a queen. A queen will take the time to ask myself, is the experience something that I still want to have? And if not, what needs to shift with love, grace, and compassion for all included? That includes you, that includes other people. So when you understand that you've transitioned from someone, that you're no longer aligned, you need to do it with conviction, but also grace. And that's where clear communication with yourself comes in first, where it's what has this person been for me? What has this thing been for me, this environment, whatever it may be, that you're wishing goodbye to, right? A lot of people will do their New Year resolutions, and instead of resolution, it's like, well, how do I change my standards? How do I change my standards and my standard of experience? Well, first and foremost, you need to get clear with yourself. What's the difference between a standard, right, and expectations? Standards are internal, expectations are external. Expectations are what we expect other people to do, be, have, like all the things, right? But standards are what we expect us to do in our body, in our soul, in our mind, and all of the above, given X person, given X situation, right? And so the the growth, the soil, the starting base ground starts with ourselves, with our standards. You know, over the years, I used to think that I was like, oh, I gotta work on my goals and I gotta set my goals, but I realized over time that that was not the case. I was working on the wrong thing. And that's so funny, right? Because it's been said by great philosophers before that before you go in to try and solve something, 110% make sure that you understand what the actual challenge problem is, that you understand what the problem is. And I was like, why? You have to slow down and really understand the etology of something, the root problem, the challenge, so that you can problem solve effectively with your time, your power, your energy, your knowledge, your wisdom, all those things, so you can actually get a solution to the real root problem. That's the same thing with medicine, with healing, with ourselves. So if I think that my challenge is my goals, I got another thing coming, because that's not the issue. The issue is my standards, my standard of experience, that when I say I have a New Year's resolution of losing 20, 30 pounds, but the reality is my standards with what I eat and what I feed my body and the exercise I do is not there. It's not there. So the issue, I repeat, is not the goal. It's you, the standard, the internal, that it's like, well, if I am not of my word, then my standards to myself are low. They're low, 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 low. Like Walmart prices low. And that's not good, because then people start treating us like Walmart, not like Nordstrom's. And there's nothing wrong with either of them. Absolutely not. I shop at both. But the point is that if you show people time and time again that they can pay you like Walmart versus Nordstrom, they're going to pay you like Walmart. They're not going to pay you like Nordstrom's. They're not going to see a piece of clothing as an art piece, as a collection. They're going to see it as a t-shirt that's $5.99 at Walmart, and they can just grab whichever ones they want at any point, at any time. You are treated like that because you first started treating yourself that way with your own word. And that's the thing, even with relationships, in business, in all parts of our lives, ladies. If we are not the standards that we say that we are, we attract relationships, experiences, environments, and people that will match that energy. We don't get what we want, we get what we are. And so the energy that we attract specifically with other individuals are either lessons or blessings. So they're either teaching us how to become more of what we say we are, but we're not there yet, so they keep coming as spiritual teachers, really, and that's the funny part. Any single person that has hurt you the deepest in your life has been your greatest spiritual teacher. And a lot of people will say, well, my greatest spiritual teacher is Jesus, God, Buddha, Allah. Absolutely, absolutely. But what I'm saying is people that you made agreements with to some extent that ended up in pain for you. Ended up in pain for you because you chose that person because they're what you call a growth partner. It's just painful. It's very painful. And so what's the lesson, right? Like, what's the assignment here, right? It's like, did she understand the homework? Well, she can't do the homework if she doesn't understand the assignment. And so the assignment here for so many women is, can I turn this experience that I've had that's unpleasant to some extent, it's painful, it's hurtful, it's just deep, deep seated, or maybe on repeat. How can she turn that into gold? How can she turn that into something that has so much value that it's absolutely impossible for her not to create legacy, for her not to create impact, for her not to create the life, the manifestation, the desires, everything she wants is there because she understands how it works. It's undeniable. It's 100% undeniable. And I've experienced this in so many places of my life now that I see how it works. Any single time that I fall into the dip, into the pool of victim mode for a minute, I fall into my princess, I give myself grace. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna stay in this princess for a tiny bit, just so we could taste it, right? Just a little bit, because I'm human. And then after that, we're gonna go ahead and get our big girl panties up, and we're gonna fall back into queen. We're gonna go back on that throne. But we know if we go back into the throne, we're going to experience pain. But we already know that we have the resources, the capacity, the love, and the understanding that we can turn into wisdom. And when in that moment we're tested and we're given these very difficult, hard experiences, and we are able to, instead of lashing out, instead of giving it right back to them or just creating chaos in our own world, instead of making a mess of everything in the kitchen, ladies, you decide to create gold. You start to create magic. You start to take the painful, disorientated experiences, and then you get to share it with others as gold and as wisdom. Those are the most valuable women around. And that's why grandmas, abuelitas, lolas, whatever you want to call it, right, are so powerful. Because these women have lived through so many things. That is wisdom. They have literally, like, they've gotten it, they've understood it, they've embodied it, and it's become wisdom. It's lived wisdom. And that's why I value so much older women. And when I say older, I'm talking about them grandmas 80, like, even those in their 90s, you know. My grandma got to her 80s, and the things I would ask her, they were so slight and so straight to the point in Spanish that I was just floored. I was blown away at how quickly she explained it. Or I'm like, whoa, that is lived wise experience. And you know, for some women, they have so much to give other women as far as experience and wisdom. I've also learned an important lesson though. The wisest women know which women are ready to receive that information. Because if you give that information to a woman that's not ready to hold it, to embody it, and to study it, and to make it her own, it's like a leaf to the wind. It's literally your saliva is just gone, and your time and your effort and energy. And if that's what you want, no problem, cool. That's okay too, because it's a gift. You're intentionally understanding, you're just sharing because you're sharing, and that's part of your work. Okay, girl, cool. But if you value your time, money, energy, effort, name it here, you're going to place it into the hands of people that are going to value what it is that you're giving them, that you're gifting them. Because if they don't value it, they're not going to understand the power of what it can do for them when they take it and make it their own. And that's one of the hardest things, because even as a healer, helper, mental health professional, whatever it is you want to call it, when your gifts are being given to patients, clients, whatever you want to call it, even as a mentor, even as a coach, a leader, as a leader, your number one job is to create more leaders. Your job is to mentor and to show by example and let others know that it's possible. And when you're the captain of the ship and there's waves in the ocean that are rough, that's also part of being a leader. And you let people know the waters are rough, honesty. It's gonna be a minute, hold tight, patience. And 3, we got this. It's not you got this, I got this, ego on both sides, right? It's we got this. Letting them understand in any relationship, whether it's work, romantic, friendships, I keep repeating this, like it's in all places, even our relationship with our body and ourself. It's not even the who's responsible for this. It's immediately an embodied leader, a captain of the ship will be like, say less. Say less, period. We're going to figure this out. Yes or yes, like in Spanish, sí o sí. We figure this out, period. And that's the type of energy that you want. That's the type of energy that you want for yourself, that you want for others around you, because it feels good. It feels like the women that wrap their arms around you and they just embrace you in that hug, and you're just feeling it throughout your entire body, and you say, damn, I am so excited, I am so connected with you, I am so grateful to see you today, to hear from you, to be around you, just to be in your energy and in your light. It's that type of feeling. That's the type of feeling you get around these women. You're just grateful for them existing, being an example, having them kids and having a job and having a business and having a relationship and just making it work. A multitasker. And a multitasker 100% can become an even greater strength when they understand that they are an alchemist, when they're able to turn whatever unfortunate event is happening into something that is absolutely beautiful and a blessing. Like grandmas, they make lemonade out of lemon. That's literally what they do, right? Like Beyonce's album, Lemonade. She turned them lemons she got in life, and with her experiences and her husband and her family and her dad's stuff, she turned it into a multi-million-dollar piece of art album. That's an alchemist. That is the definition of an alchemist. I want to be clear, what I'm explaining is the example of it. I'm not saying that she herself has proclaimed that she's an alchemist in any way. What I'm saying is any single woman that is able to turn hurt, pain, trifling, like whatever situations have happened into something that helps her grow and share and lead by example is it. Like that is the assignment. How can we make this world more loving? Well, we can make the world more loving by becoming love. And in a piece of that, it's us loving ourselves. We fall in love with ourselves, and thus other people fall in love with us. And that's the beauty of this. It's only up from here, ladies, because when we understand these things and we embody it in all places of our life, at work, with our beloved, with our children, man, you just start to see the life you desire. You start to see it, you start to experience it, and then you have just these moments where you just say to yourself, how did I get so lucky? It's so funny that luck favors luck favors those that don't give up. That's what I think. Luck favors those that don't give up on themselves, on other people, on experiences that they know they are already having. There's just a little bit of a delay. There's a little bit of a pause, right? There's a little bit of a Pizza Hut, Domino's. Give it a minute, hold tight, it's almost coming. It's almost coming. You know, I believe those two. It's always coming, and it's almost here, and it's more is always coming. More is always coming. You know, for the longest time, I thought that the word more was associated with abundance, but I realized something. To me, abundance is balance. I have balance of love, wealth, time, financial stability, wellness, connection with myself, connection with others, you name it, right? Like you just the wealths that there are in this life. There's so many. That's abundance. When you have the balance that works for you. And that's the other misconception that a lot of people will say, like, well, balance, okay, like what? Like a life-work balance, like a family relationship balance, like what type of balance? See, the truth is, it's your definition of balance. It's what is balance for you in said category. And for the longest time, a lot of my women that I mentor would ask me like, well, how do I know? It's like, well, sit with yourself. Sit with yourself and ask yourself these hard questions. Do I actually enjoy this environment with blank person? Do I know, okay, what part of me wants to change that, and what's in my ability, not control, what is in my ability to change that? If not, I surrender. I release, I accept. Surrender, accept, release. You get what's there. You get what is already waiting for you because you've released control from it. And I talk about these things, and way easier said than done, because when you actually start to do the work, it gets heavy. It gets heavy because then it becomes real, and you're like, whoa, next level. I'm asking for this. Okay, I got it. But wait a minute, now I have responsibility for other people and their livelihood and their time and effort. Wait a minute, I'm leading other leaders. Way higher standards for yourself, for the experiences, for how you show up, and what parts of you still need work. So if there's any piece of you as a woman that already knows her value and knows that she has so much to give of value, isn't asking herself, how do I maintain this? How do I have this consistently? And what do I need to clean up in my life with gratitude and the knowledge and wisdom to know when you do it, because everybody's timing is different, then what are we doing? What are we doing if we're not asking ourselves these questions? Because we only make things better. We only become better mothers, better daughters, better partners, better leaders, all of the above, better community members, better gardeners, whatever it is that you're into or you have a hobby or a passion for. You only get better at it as you do better. It's such a beautiful calling because you're coming from a place of abundance, of overflow, of that's literally the definition of my cup runs thus over. How do you get a cup that runs thus over? You start filling yourself. You start filling your own cup. So then when other people come around, when other people are like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You are glowing. You're being of your word. You're holding your standards. That's what makes a woman glow, because she's just in her light and she's authentic and she doesn't have to be anybody else. She doesn't have to put on this play to please other people, because she's understood that people pleasing is coming from a place of fear. It's not coming from a place of love. Because if need be, she will walk away from X situation or X person. No discussion. It's already a known, period. It's a standard. It's a different way of life. It's a completely different way of life. So many people nowadays, trendy, will call it a savage. I don't think so. I think it's called an awakened woman. An awakened woman that knows exactly where it is that she's going and what she deserves. It's so many layers to that, because she knows that she deserves love, that she deserves these experiences that help her grow and lead and expand. And that's such a beautiful word, and I want to use that for a little bit, the expansion part. Well, I'm not the greatest at explaining with chemistry, anatomy, physics, any of that. It hasn't been my forte. But I'll tell you that when something expands, right, it has movement. It has a shift of some sort. And something or other like this happens. It expands and it contracts and it does this until it finds its new formation, until the next evolution, the next change happens and she expands again. And this is literally how I see personal growth for us, for a spiritual being, a human, that when we expand, this is the first layer of ascension, of us expanding up, all, and around. And when a woman expands, this is literally my best explanation of this. Better business, better relationships. Whoops, okay, just kidding. I don't have the self-esteem I say I have. Okay, I'm gonna get a lesson. Yep, you get a lesson, and then you have courage again, and then you expand again and again and again, and then it's like, whoa, I am running a company that has 100 people. 100 people. I have these beautiful twins at home, two beautiful baby twins. Oh my goodness, double and more responsibility, but also more joy and more pleasure and more universal connected experiences. It's so powerful. It is so powerful. And then another woman sees it and she says, girl, that's possible. And she sees you and she has the courage and she has the faith. That is so important in all this formula, in all this that I'm talking about. She has so much faith, ladies, that she says, wow, that's possible. I'm next. And you inspire the next woman around you. It's absolutely beautiful. Expansion is such a beautiful process. Now, when you expand and you're contracting, that's what hurts. It's just like a woman that's designed to give birth, right? Like when your cervix is dilating and all things are contracting, you feel this enormous amount of pain because you're giving birth to something. You are birthing your new experience into life. It's no different, ladies, that when you give birth, when you understand that process, when you literally embody that for you as a creator, you are a creator by design and by nature, ladies. When you are a creator and you are creating the life you desire, there's pain. There's painful moments to that because that's part of the contraction and expansion process. You can't expand without stretching, and things that stretch you are uncomfortable. They're unpleasant experiences. They're the pain in the ass that you don't understand why on earth continues to be a pain. Whatever it is, whether it's something that you're just tolerating or putting up with, like a can opener that doesn't work anymore and you're like, what a pain in the behind this thing is. Or it's a person. It's literally a partner that you've outgrown and you already know. Your intuition has told you, I need to leave them. But you won't, and you don't. And you could insert reason. But what dragons are on this level, right? Like, I'm here to slay a dragon? What? Okay, so then you find out you gotta slay the demons inside you. You have to slay the critics you have inside you. That you have to slay the people pleasing. And you have to slay any single piece that is telling you that you can't do it, that you are not worthy, that you are not lovable, that you were not motherfucking created for this. That's what you have to slay. That's literally the dragons that I am talking about. And it's so funny because, ladies, literally, if you are at the point where you are hearing this right now, literally be like, girl, comment, like, girl, say less. Like, I understood those dragons. It sounds like my former partner, right? My ex-husband, whatever it is you want to call it. Consciousness is ex-partner, right? Or former partner. It is what it is. It's a lesson. Okay. So whether you are slaying that, the loss of a child, you've had a miscarriage, there is deep, deep grief. Ooh, you are slaying, Lord Jesus, a difficult mama. You are slaying the hurts that you've had from childhood, from the abandonment with dad, with uncle, with family members that rejected you for X reason. When you slay all of that, you just get to the next level. But the reward that you get for every single level that you play in this game called life, the reward, ladies, is insanely invaluable. It's invaluable. You get peace, certain level. Then you get joy. Then you get abundance. Then you get all kinds of different things. And it's so beautiful because that's literally what happens when you play a certain level of the game and you understand it. You understand the solution, the code for you to go to the next one. And that's why a lot of spiritual people will say, oh, I have some codes, or I have this. Yes, that is in fact the case. They understood, at one point or another, they gathered information, then they understood it. Key thing here is understanding consciousness. I'm woke, I got it. Okay, cool. They understood it, but then they took action on it and they became it, they embodied it, so then it becomes wisdom. Because they're walking, talking knowledge. but they're actually that they're saying. Like, for example, ooh, this one's so beautiful. I've been studying a lot of Khalil Gibran's work. Oh, Lord Jesus, it's so deep, it's delicious, it has so much depth, and I love that. I love that for us because this man just wrote, ladies. He wrote and wrote and wrote, but he wrote beautiful things. And he says, love can be found in so many different forms. Work is love made visible. Oh, it spoke to my heart so much because you'll never work a day in your life when you do what you love. And I've been grateful enough, I've been blessed enough in my lifetime to experience that so many different times in my life. I've experienced that as a hairdresser, as an academic tutor, as a caretaker, as a psychotherapist, coach, mentor, like all the things that I've done throughout my careers. I've experienced moments and many times seasons, actual seasons where I'm just like, wow, I can't believe that I get to do what I love and I get to receive on top of that money. I get to receive connection. I get to receive acknowledgement that this is important work, that what we're doing together collaboratively matters. It creates impact. It creates wellness. It creates greater for the good. It creates more opportunities for women. It creates opportunity for humans to grow consciousness. I can't believe that I got this lucky. I didn't get lucky. It was conscious little itty bitty decisions. It was like little tiny breadcrumbs every time. Little tiny breadcrumbs that I would leave until I figured it out, that that's what I wanted to do, that that's where I wanted to lead, and that's where I wanted to serve the most amount of God's gifts I had to the world. And I share this with you because this is all such a beautiful part about being part of this community. And as we wrap up today's live, I want to ask you ladies for a couple things. One is, if any piece of this spoke to you, or you're like, say more about that. Literally just let me know. Just comment and say, Z, like, can you say more about this part? Okay, and then we'll go back to that part. Okay, we'll talk more about that in this community. Okay. The second part I'm gonna ask is, what is it that we are looking to create impact with? What are we looking to create impact with? Are we looking to create that new technology for an infant, right? Maybe you're changing the industry for kids and parents and moms and dads. Cool. Maybe you're creating impact in the healthcare industry. Maybe you're creating that next app that helps someone have better health maintenance of their life, right? Something like this. Tracks your body, tracks your heart rate, tracks your sleep. It creates wellness. It's beautiful, right? Maybe that's your impact. Or maybe you're just meant to lead in different ways. You're leading a family that will create a family, that will create a family, that will create a family. What beautiful ripples, right? To see that and to know that you are part of that generational change, that you are part of the lineage in your family that breaks that chain, that breaks that block, that changes the pattern of the same things happening over and over and over again, and no one says anything about it. You are the one. That is a legacy right there. All of these are examples of it. And that's the most beautiful part about that, because in this community, we are leading women that are already leading in their life to lead to where they start to see and experience income, impact, and the legacy all at the same time. And we went into deep, deep places, ladies, today. We went into relationships. We went into how this shows up at work with romantic, beloved partners. And how if you're not willing to have the courage to become the one, if you're not willing to have the courage inside you that knows you have main character energy, queen energy, to say, I am the one that changes everything for me. I don't know what. This is what we're doing. So ladies, thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much for listening today, to being part of this community. Say hello to each other. We are asking deep questions. We are asking good questions. We are asking questions that are life changing, because when one woman knows one thing and shares it with another, it gives her the opportunity to put the puzzle pieces together and say, well, wait a minute, I never thought about that. And so you are welcome to ask questions in this group. You are welcome to say, hey, I have a huge win to share, and I'm just so excited to share this win, no matter what that win is, okay? And you are also super invited 100% to invite other women to this group, because as you each one, you teach one, and you create legacy together. We'll see you. Bye, ladies.